This is Rich, and I am reflecting on my unit planning. How effective was my initial planning? Um, the original planning wasn't very effective, I think, only because I originally planned it thinking I would have about 2 weeks or so to complete everything. I didn't realize we were actually going to teach it, so I made a plan based off of thinking we would have about a lot longer to complete what we had planned. So I had to completely revise my planning, this is one of the reasons why I had to revise. So what led to some of the revisions was timing. I didn't have enough time to implement everything I had originally planned. Another thing that led to revisions was the lack of iPads. I originally wanted to give my students some iPads to do some research on how to do something, or whatever it is they wanted to tell me how to do. I was going to, let them use an iPad to research a few things. But it's the end of the semester, and I had to return all my iPads, so I had to scratch that from my plan. Also, 21st century skills, I needed to add communication and collaborating and active listening and speaking, because these are some very important skills to have in the 21st century, because, well, communicating with everybody and with anyone is essential to anything you do, right? Also, I needed to revise the way that I made teams. Originally, I just grouped them in their groups and just, let them decide what they wanted to do. I have groups already. I have 4 groups of 4, 1 group of 5. It worked out well for the most part, but a few of the students, they didn't quite agree with what their team wanted to do. They wanted to do something else. They wanted to, the team might have wanted to write about how to tie your shoe, while one student wanted to write about how to make a paper airplane. So there's a couple disagreements here and there about that, but for the most part it worked all right. I think what I'll do next time is I'll let all the students write down their top 3 topics that they would want to write about. And I will group them based off of their preferences. I think I'll do that next. Some insights from lesson planning and teaching. I think I should try to expose them a little more to cultural diversity. After planning, doing a whole plan on cultural diversity, kind of got me thinking and realizing how important it is for students to be aware and have a little bit of knowledge towards different cultures and how they think and how they how they live, because it's very important. Because today's society is so diverse. It's made up of so many people from so many different places of the world. No matter where you go, you're going to run into different kinds of cultures. So it's very important for these students to be exposed to that, to be aware of it, and also to know how to deal with different cultures. People are going to have different opinions on different things, and it's very important to learn how to deal with it, I think. So what was so critical in implementing into my plan? I think the most important thing that we did was the reflection on the very first set of instructions I had them follow. I had them make paper wallets, and I purposely made the instructions a little unclear and confusing, just to get them to feel what it's like to be frustrated and not know how to follow some instructions because of they're not so clear, they're not so simple. So when we reflected on these, the students knew exactly what was good about them, and they knew exactly what was bad about them. So we reflected on that, and I asked them, how can we make the bad parts better? And it gave them a whole sense of, needs to be included in a set of instructions to make it, a good set of instructions and simple to follow. So that gave them a very clear, it painted a very clear picture for them for that. Now, how did the planning process help me determine whether the students were attaining the skills and understanding and meeting the objectives? Planning really did everything for me. It helped me to have a preconceived notion of what to look for while I was walking around, while they were in their groups discussing what they were going to do. I knew exactly what to listen for. I knew, whether they were on the right track. It clarified for me, how to assess them, not only by listening to their discussions in their groups, but also when they presented to the class or to the, they knew exactly, the students all knew exactly what was good and what was bad about the instructions, and so did they, the presenters. As soon as they were trying to present something that wasn't very clear, the students were like, "What? How do we do that?" They knew immediately what they were doing wrong, and they knew immediately, how they can change in order to make it better. So planning helped with that a lot. Also, it helps with differentiating with the slower learners, which was very important. There was a couple slower learners that I was able to plan for, and I had extra material for them up on the board, and also I was able to anticipate their slowness. So I put them with stronger students, so the students would be able to help the slower students as well. So the plan helped a lot with that. So those are my insights. That's what I've got. Thank you very much.